28 years later, The Bone Temple is the fourth entry in the 28 franchise, third if we don't count 28 Weeks Later. This is the sequel to last year's 28 Years Later, the comeback film for the franchise directed by Danny Boyle. This time around, Nia DaCosta has taken up the mantle of director for the sequel, as I imagine Danny probably wanted to get a head start on the third one to have it coming as soon as possible. In this one, we continue to follow Spike on his journey in the mainlands, where he gets tied up with the Jimmy Gang, an evil satanic cult, and he comes to find out just how awful the world outside of his peaceful village truly is. Now, before I get into the rest of this review, I want to give you guys a warning right here. This video will contain big spoilers for the film. In my personal opinion, it's really just not that fun to talk about these movies without going in depth on spoilers. Either now would be the time for you to leave, or skip to the timestamp where I talk about my final non-spoiler thoughts. So while 28 Years Later felt like a more true survival apocalyptic adventure, The Bone Temple is really more like an anthology type film. You have these two sides of the story, one focusing on Spike and the other focusing on Dr. Kelson and Samson. Between these two groups, there's this contrast between the light and the darkness of this world that is honestly one of my favorite things explored so far in the series. Starting with the light first, we have the kind, caring Dr. Ian Kelson and the brooding, mysterious alpha infected named Samson. In this part of the story, they focus on building this unexpected bond between Kelson and Samson. This all starts when Kelson realizes that his method of keeping Samson away is the only time when Samson can find peace in his mind. And I think, in a way, Dr. Kelson, after so many years on his own, having this person to kind of just vent to and talk about life with really also helped him find peace as well. Eventually, he makes a breakthrough showcasing that the infection only clouds the brains of its victims rather than replacing it with this endless thirst for carnage like we thought. Over time, Samson becomes more peaceful and friendly with Dr. Kelson, forming this bond that you really just can't help but smile while watching. Watching Kelson give really deep, heartfelt monologues and even dancing to music together. It's a heartwarming watch, eventually leading to Kelson practically curing Samson, and he regains almost full consciousness. Ralph Fiennes portrays Dr. Kelson so well. I really loved seeing this character in such a dark world who sees the good in this seemingly mindless evil creature, helping it find peace with itself. Now, on the dark side, you have the maniacal, twisted, yet undeniably funny and charismatic Jack O'Connell playing Jimmy Crystal. And man, I have to say, this guy is becoming one of my favorite actors right now. I just want to see him in everything. While I did say he is a pretty funny character, I also did feel that they did not go in the direction the last movie was kind of setting up with the ending, which is for the better in my opinion. That ending almost felt like Power Rangers inspired with how silly and cartoonish it looked. I think people were way too hard on it, acting like it totally ruined the movie, but I am happy that they went in a very dark direction with the Jimmy Gang in this. This is where we see some of the most sick, stomach-churning things in this entire franchise. I mean, Jimmy is one of the most evil antagonists in recent memory for me, but a really well-written and complex one at that. The way he's manipulated these lost, confused children in this already corrupted world into doing unspeakable acts, it's just so sickening to watch. He's so obsessed with himself that he has his whole gang dress up as him and share the same name. In the movie, it was a pretty comedic element to it, but the more you actually think about it, it is really depressing. And it really gives you an insight into the mind of just how messed up this guy is. Spike, the main character of the last film, is definitely at the central point of this movie, but in this one, it's a lot less about his inner turmoil and more so just him experiencing the harsh reality of this world, as well as being the bridge between both halves of this story. Forcefully brought into the Jimmy Gang, the movie starts with him having to kill a member of the group to earn his place and not die. And throughout the film, he's put in these situations that challenge his morals and undoubtedly traumatize him. It's not all doom and gloom though, as in this Jimmy group, he befriends a girl named Jimmy Inc., played by Erin Kellyman. Jimmy Inc. is the clearest showing of how these children were influenced by Jimmy Crystal and how it's turned this kind girl into a believer of Satanism. As we follow the events with this group, she starts to question the honesty and true intentions of the leader, making the right decision in the end. Now, I would like to get into some of the other parts of this film outside of just the plot and the character arcs, with the main thing being just how gorgeous this film is. I think each of these movies have their own respective qualities visually. I have a weird appreciation for that kind of low quality look to 28 Days Later, and while I think 28 Years Later does show some substantial visual improvements, with most things looking absolutely gorgeous, I do think some parts looked a little odd. Like, some of the action shots were kind of goofy and outdated, with this like weird little instant replay 360 effect around it. It was kind of taking me out of the kind of apocalyptic, gritty, sad world and putting me into a Call of Duty lobby. But I think the Bone Temple is the best directed one of them all. Excellent camera work, beautiful color grading, and the way some of these scenes are done is just so creative and visually appealing. The whole sequence where Dr. Kelson is like acting out as Satan himself, it's just such an entertaining watch because of how well it's shot. I really loved how the Bone Temple wrapped up. I honestly wasn't anticipating Cillian Murphy's character to like return until the third one, so him returning in this one at the end definitely kind of threw me off guard in the theater. But besides that, I think the way the film culminates thematically is just incredibly well done. So once all these characters come together, what we get is just a tragic, depressing finale that reflects on the brutal nature of this world and religion. Jimmy Crystal is supposedly a devoted follower of Satan, but the moment that this supposed Satan figure, Dr. Kelson, who was asked by Jimmy to pretend to be Satan, does something that would hurt Jimmy, and he swiftly switches up and just straight up kills him. It's sad to watch, but I think it provides some interesting commentary on religion, and I guess just what evil figures in the world will do to remain in power without being checked. And there was also something I kind of picked up on with the ending. It was the two halves of the story essentially ending up like flipped. Spike and Jimmy Inc., who's later revealed to be truly named Kelly, end with a more hopeful future ahead of them, with Cillian Murphy's character finding them and willing to help them. Whereas on the other side of things, the sweet bond between Dr. Kelson and Samson is brought to a depressing, dark end. Overall, 20 years later, The Bone Temple is an incredible continuation of the story being told in this universe. I only just finally got around to these movies just to watch this new one, but I would say out of watching all of them, I found 28 Days and Years to be more emotionally impactful to me, but that doesn't mean that this wasn't also a very hard-hitting film. There's hardly any complaints I could really think of for this one. I mean, I guess some of the visual effects on the infected look a little low budget, but it's kind of a low budget movie. It's not exactly a high budget blockbuster, so it doesn't really bother me. I just found the character arcs on both halves of the story to be expertly crafted, with emotional beats hitting and the evil moments leaving a real lasting effect. I don't know if I could say this one is my favorite in the franchise right now, but I think it is tied or just a smidge lower than the first one for me. And as for a rating, I'd give this one about a 9 to 9.5 or a 4.5 out of 5. Let me know what you guys thought about this one. Did you love it, hate it, get scared? And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.